I really thought I did something wrong.
Growing up, I never felt like gender was something that defined me, even at a young age.
I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii. I was born and raised there, and then I spent some time here in LA. I was pregnant with Maddie, actually.
My relationship with my mom before coming out was, I was way younger, so I think naturally it was just super different. But also, I think she really wanted me to just be someone who just says yes and then does it, which is really against my natural, way of being.
It was such a difficult process for me. Matt came out as gay or bisexual in the 5th grade, and I am a therapist, and I also was born and raised super ultra conservative Christian, so there's that cognitive dissonance there. But I really felt like I was being so progressive, right, to be accepting of my child being part of the LGBTQI plus community. However, Matt was still going to church and things like that, and sometimes wearing an LGBT shirt, and I would say you can't wear that to church. I'm accepting, but you can't wear that to church. And I think after a few months or years of that, I recall a time where we had a big fight, and Matt was like, well, you say you're supportive, right, but then you tell me don't wear this and don't, and you're expecting me to hide a certain part of myself, and so do you really accept this? Are you ashamed of this? And that was a big turning point for me.
Before I came out, I always knew that my mom was, supportive, but just not really understanding. I knew she had a very limited view.
I never had anything against the LGBT community. I know this is lame, but it's I would always participate in Pride, all those things. So that's why I really felt like I was progressive. I felt like I was open-minded. As a therapist, you're really trained to be objective, all of those things. And it's so different when it's your own child and you have to apply those theories in your actual real life. I really thought I did something wrong. That was my initial. I was like, where did I mess up? I thought I was trying my best to be the best parent, and why is my kid troubled? I just equated being trans to being troubled. What's wrong? What did I do wrong? How can I fix this? And I think underneath that, it was more my kid is gonna suffer in this world. There's no way that I'm gonna allow my kid to suffer, and can we somehow make him not trans so that he won't suffer as much? Just be gay, because if you're gay, you won't suffer as much as if you're trans. But I also think there was a true fear, of safety of my family, my friends. Just how am I going to navigate all of this? How am I going to make sure that Matt is going to have a successful life no matter what? What am I going to do to ensure that happens? When Matt first asked for gender-affirming care, I was really against it. And we went to many different clinics, and we even traveled to Stanford and Chicago and things like that. I was able to be educated. And I think when it was a really dark time for Matt, and Matt was very consistent about this, the gender-affirming care has been crucial in what I believe Matt is today. And just being able to sound more like himself, look like himself, feel like himself. I have seen such a tremendous change after the gender-affirming care. So I'm not gonna lie, I was very nervous about it. I sat through many consultations, and I believe that gender-affirming care is life-saving care. I didn't realize how much backlash I would get as a mother, even from the closest people to me, family, best friends that I've known since 7th grade. People feel very entitled to give unsolicited advice or opinions about the way that I'm raising my kid. I've had to learn how to have family meetings without Matt there and say, hey, this is what you can say to my kid, and here's what you can't say. And I know you love us, and at the same time, if you're gonna keep saying that Matt's gonna go to hell, we're not gonna come to dinner anymore. So that was another level of deconstruction that I had to do. And I really had to seek my own professional help and also be able to get strong enough to be that mom that like I knew I had to be. So first accepting, but then also after that advocating and being able to speak to my family. And that took years. Yeah. I had to find the courage through therapy, through doctors, through getting educated about what is the best way to support my kid. And that meant having tough conversations on behalf of Mat. There was a time where Mat was very quiet and was always intellectual, always had a lot to offer the world, but chose to keep it in because of the darkness that he was facing. And so I know how like the political climate is right now, but I will say without a doubt that the tea has really helped my child be who he is. And that's evidenced by like everything like friends and grades and, you know, doing things out of his comfort zone and performing and acting and filming and directing, all of that, like because he was comfortable in his voice or because he was comfortable in who he was. And I think it's been more amazing than I thought it was gonna be.
Spill the Tea Cafe was originally my idea. Spill the Tea Cafe is a mental health clinic that's also a nonprofit and a safe space for LGBTQIA youth.
When Maddie came out in Hawaii, we're very under-resourced. Well, across the whole nation, there's like a provider shortage, but especially on this island. A lot of people don't know, but suicide is the leading cause of death in Hawaii for Native Hawaiians and other marginalized people like LGBT youth. So that during the pandemic, and Mat was going through like this dark time, I, even as a therapist, could not find anything. Like I couldn't find a therapist. I couldn't find anyone to help me with like, what do I do when my kid just said that he's trans? And so we were taking on all this overflow at the clinic. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like because my own kid was struggling with this too, I was like, we need to do something and I will find a way. So I felt like this would be a way for me to also build community, in addition to obviously opening up the clinic.
Being able to have my mom on my side versus having her be super iffy and unknowing and questionable, it felt like I had more room to explore really what I wanted and what it all meant to me. It helps me feel more comfortable being able to just trust that she understands me.
That was a big lesson I had to learn. I need to guide this child and I'm honored to be part of their journey, but they're not born to me and they're my possession, right? And you're gonna be what I want you to be. And so that was something I think motherhood in general, it's not specific to trans kids. I think motherhood in general is something that I wish I knew that earlier in motherhood. What I would tell other parents is that if your kid is just coming out, it's important to drown out all the noise and of your own inner voice, even of other people, but also your own inner voice, and to try to truly listen to your kid. And if that kid is persistent and consistent, it's so important for you to be patient and for you to know that this is going to be a long journey. But the number one thing that your kid needs is your acceptance.
You get to learn so much more about yourself if you are accepted by the people around you. Because before, you know, as my mom said, I had all these like gay shirts and it was a big part of my personality. And after I realized everyone accepted me and was loving, I got to find more of my personality. I got to get more into theater. I got to have like actual hobbies. And I'm not saying that, you know, being LGBT isn't a big part of my personality, but it's not the thing I wear so much anymore. I have so many other things that I love about myself that I was able to discover because I realized that there wasn't this thing holding me back. I didn't need to push around to show that like I deserve to be accepted because of this thing.
If you can learn how to be supportive, even 1%, you know, more than you were yesterday, that is going to give your kid the best possibility for them to be happy, for them to stay alive, for them to thrive, for them to excel. When you love your kid, that love is going to transcend every expectation that you've had, and then you can really get to know who that kid is and really truly fall in love with that kid, because Matt is actually the same kid he always was, and it's just I had to take some time to learn that.